My name is Linda Holtzman, and I'm a professor in communications at Webster University. And I have volunteered to speak, I guess, a love letter to people who are suffering with depression. And I want to talk to folks, whether they're students, staff, faculty, about depression and what I know that people often tell young people about depression are things like, you'll be fine, don't worry about it, it's just something you're going through, it's not a big deal, and things like that. Or do this or do that, or you'll feel better, or smile, or things like that. And I don't really want to say any of those things, although some of them may be helpful to some people, but I want to talk to those of you who are challenged sometimes by pretty serious depression where life feels pretty hopeless. And I want to tell you a little bit about what I've learned, and I'm hoping that that might be something that provides support and maybe some concrete suggestions, and also some reality checks as well. My daughter, Dora McGrath, died in 2008 when she was 22 years old. She died from a terrible illness, a very severe mental illness that that hit her when she was about 15. Before, after, and during that time, she was a pretty regular girl. I have a picture of her that I want to show you all. That was Dora about a month before she died. She was a musician and songwriter, and that was her, she just cut a CD, and that was her CD release party, this photo of her right here. She was a kid who had slumber parties, and she had lots of friends, and she giggled a lot, and in high school, she won poetry contests, and she was a cheerleader, and she was a dancer, and she was a party girl. She loved to dance at parties, and she had lots of friends, and she dated a lot. She went on to college, even though she still suffered from a pretty severe mental illness that included depression, but not only depression. She really struggled with finding a way she really wanted to live, and she was really frightened that someday her illness would get the best of her and that she wouldn't be able to find that piece of her that knew that she wanted to live. She was in what I would call remission for 3 years. And in early February 2008, she called me. She was at her college, Hampshire College in Massachusetts, to tell me that she had just plunged into a really deep, dark depression. She came home and she wrote in journals every day. She saw her therapist, she saw her psychiatrist, she got new medication. She wrote about how much she wanted to live and all the things that she wanted to live for. What we didn't know at that time that I know now from all the work I've done with different organizations, especially Chad's Coalition, to help fight depression and to be more aware, to erase the stigma of depression and mental illness. What we didn't know is that sometimes when you have real severe depression that's debilitating and you're having suicidal thoughts, is that when you first go on an antidepressant or a new one, or they up the dose to help you, there's a period of time that's called an activation phase where the depression is still there, but there's a new level of energy. And what we didn't know was that that's the time where people are in very, very serious danger, very vulnerable to suicide. Before that time, she took every precaution. In fact, she didn't even sleep by herself. She slept in my room. She didn't drive the car by herself. She didn't go anywhere by herself. But once she started feeling better, we thought she was out of the woods. If we had known then what we know now, we may have been able to save her. And so the reason I'm telling you that story, even though it's always hard for me to talk about, is that there are things that people can do even when depression is really at its darkest place, that can get you past that dark place and get you help to be able to have a full life, which my daughter, should have had, and could have had we only had that one piece of information that now is getting to be more and more common knowledge. The other thing that I really wanted to do, rather than give kind of a pep talk, one of the things that I wanted to say to people who have severe depression and at times consider suicide, think about it. Oftentimes what happens when people are really depressed is that it feels like it won't matter to anybody. It feels like that there's such a burden on other people that if they disappear from the world, from life, that the people might even be relieved because they may have become such a burden. And that's just not true. It's just not true. If any of you are thinking that and thinking that if you ended your life that you would go out without much alarm and people breathing a sigh of relief, it's really just not true. It's your depression telling you that. That's not the reality. And that's what I meant when I said earlier that I wanted to provide a reality check. And so when I thought about what I wanted to say, I decided to read a real love letter that I wrote to, and I may cry when I say this, but that's okay because it's going to really explain to you how much a difference it makes if someone decides to do that ultimate thing. It can happen in a flash, but make that flash not happen because you do matter and you can make huge contributions to the world, and you also can leave huge holes in people's lives. So stick around and get help. That's really what my message is. This is the letter that I wrote to my daughter that I read at her funeral on February 27th, 2008. Dear Dora, I miss you. The many night times when still at 22 years old, you came and snuggled with me at night and we watched bad sitcoms and giggled and talked, I miss you. Your voice, I want to hear you say mama again, and whether you or I were in Massachusetts or Mexico or Israel, I want our little phone talks 3, 4, 5 times a day when we called each other just to play a funny song we heard on the radio. I miss you. I miss the little snort you make when you laugh real hard. I miss you. Your fierceness. I called you the warden when you took such ferocious and protective care of me when I had heart surgery. I miss you. The millions of times a day we hugged and held hands, even in the mall when you were 12 and you were never embarrassed to hold hands with your mom. I miss you. I'm angry at the evil, vicious illness that took you away from us. Sweetie, I know how hard you fought. When your depression returned, you called me in February to ask me to write some things down in case your illness took you to places that would make you forget. I wrote down everything you said, especially top priority, stay safe. I miss you. The way you love me and Alex and Dad and Sheila and Sydney and Eric and Bernadette and Kennedy and your beloved precious Poppy and Billy and Sylvia and Katie and Josie, Jean and Tracy and Madeline and Artie and Margie and Leah and Miranda and all of the people who've touched your life and whom you cherished. I miss you. I want to see you sitting on the couch with your ukulele, singing the song you wrote in Mexico that feels like sun and ocean breezes. I want you back sitting on my bed, singing the song you wrote about Israel and Palestine, singing the world and that part of the world you love in a better place. Dear Dora, you are my daughter, my dear friend, my fierce warrior, my gentle spirit. You said that in your mind, God is a gigantic puzzle and everyone has their own puzzle piece. And the tiny ladybug piece is just the same as Martin Luther King. And you treated every living thing with that belief. I'm not sure what I believe or what faith I have to hold on to. I will not use the past tense when I talk about you or to you. You are still here and yet you are gone. And I can't hear you talk to me or touch me. I can't seem to stop writing because the words I can't say are goodbye. So I'll say I love you and miss you with all my heart and soul and spirit and hold on to the possibility that there truly is a place where someday we'll be able to see each other and hold each other again. All my love, Mom. Would somebody mind picking this picture up for me, please? Thank you. There were close to 1,000 people that came to Dora's funeral memorial service. It was astonishing. People from friends and loved ones from all over the world. And I don't think at the moment that she couldn't make it anymore, I don't think that she had any idea of how much she was loved. I want to close by reading something that she wrote. She actually had this on her album cover of her CD. She said, I do not want to be a product. I do not want to sell my pretty face to sell a record. I want to play my music, to be a constant student, to live my life the way I want. And if that means I need to have a day job and maybe a high-paying night job a couple nights a week, then so be it. I'm tired of seeing every musician turn themselves into a product, into something smooth and glossy that everyone will automatically love. I don't want to smooth out the rough edges. I don't want to make myself into something or someone that moves with the tide. I want to own one wave, own the bubbles and the rough edges and the swishing of that one wave, and know that I move with it, move like it, because I wish, not because I can gain the whole ocean from it. Dora McGrath. So I do want to say to all of you who may be suffering from and challenged by depression or other mental illness or mood disorders, get help. If you can, talk to your family doctor. Talk to the counseling service here. They'll help you get the help you need. It can take some time, but there's a lot of things that you can do to get better. And there's a lot of things that you can learn about to help give you the support that you need. And also to remember that even if it doesn't feel like it right now, again, that's your depression talking. You really are loved.